Alright, we got a 2018 Lincoln Navigator here. This one's been having some issues with parking brake. We've got service parking brake function failure messages on the dash. The customer keeps having issues. Their parking brake light will flash. It will never actually engage the parking brakes. It's in service mode, so it's having some issues with the parking brake. It's been to a couple other technicians. They have replaced the parking brake caliper and the motor assemblies, and that hasn't fixed the issue yet. They brought it to me to see if I could figure it out. So we jumped into wiring diagrams. Let me pull you over there and show you that real quick. Okay, so without showing you too much information here, we've pulled codes, and as you can see in the ABS, we've got a couple parking brake codes set, those C1034s, 76 and 78s. Then we've got a U3049 in the control module. Basically, we're just having an issue with the ABS system, but this code that we're looking at, C2008-1328, that's going to be a left motor failure code, and we've got, as you can see, the 13 is for open circuit. So we're having some circuitry codes. So we went ahead and jumped over to the wiring diagram, and this is going to be our Lincoln wiring diagram for this left rear brake caliper motor assembly. This is very basic actually. We've got the ABS module here with the ABS module connector, and then we've got C139, which is an inline connector. I'll show you that one. I actually have it undone here, and these are pins 18 and 19, and then we've got connector C4478, which is the actual motor connector at the left rear caliper. So basically we went from this inline connector to here first. We're just kind of breaking down the branches of the circuit to try and find where the issue lies, and we actually found it between that 139 and C4478. So these wires are just bare wires in this circuit. When I separate these two circuits out, it's basically just like testing the two plain wires, and they're actually making contact. They actually have resistance across the two wires, so they are making a little bit of contact. Not only that, but we actually have a break between pins 1 right here on C4478 and pin 19 on C139. So let me go over there and show you that real quick. Up here on top of the left hand side wheel well, this is connector C139. This is a great big inline connector that goes from the front to the back. You can see I've got my Ford and Lincoln terminal pins in there. I checked for loose pin fit and like wallering in and out, anything like that. The pins feel awesome on this connector, same as the motor connector at the back. So we've got the correct terminal pins in there. I've got a red lead to pin 19 and a black lead to pin 18, and we just ran our test leads down into the back motor there. So the one that I've got set up back here, we're checking for, as you can see, resistance on the multimeter. The one I've got set up is this red lead coming to the back. I've got to go into my black lead on the multimeter. I got my red lead for my multimeter that's going to be going to this motor to test the wiring. So basically, this red lead is going to be on pin 19 like we set up front at C139. So I'm basically just jumping from C139 back here to the back to check this wiring. We have an OL resistance there. Let me plug it into this, which is the right side pin on this connector here. So there I've got my terminal end on pin 1 of the C4478 or whatever it was, this motor connector on this motor for the caliper back here. And we check the resistance there, and it's actually decent now. If I wiggle this right here, it kind of jumps out. It was reading 1,000 right there, 1,500 ohms, 1.5K ohms, 2,000 ohms. That's what it was when I first started doing the testing, and then I started goofing with it. Now it's going to work, of course, but right here there's a little bow in the wire where it goes down. That is what I can actually mess with and get it to read perfect. So if I let go, it jumps up to 1,500 ohms. If I squeeze that wire there where that bend is, make better contact, 0.8. So what we're going to do is cut open this little section here, find that issue wherever that bend is, resolder in a new piece of wire, lay it a little bit differently to where it doesn't have that kink in the wire harness, so I won't do that again for the customer. Put it all back together, test and make sure everything works, clears everything out, and make sure that everything operates correctly. Okay, so we got the harness knocked down, everything released and loose and hanging here, and as you can see, I opened up that section where I was getting that change in resistance, and we've got the blue crusties, got some corrosion in there, and that wire, that green wire, was just touching. It wasn't actually connected. I didn't cut it or anything. That's just how it was. So the corrosion had eaten through it. It was just sitting there barely making contact like that, and that was allowing it to touch to give us a little bit of a resistance reading, but it had really high resistance. We've also got a little bit starting here, so I'm going to go ahead and this is right where that 90 was off of this bolt here, so I'm going to go ahead and cut these guys, get the corrosion out of there, and splice in some new wiring. Like I said, I'll route it to where it uses the same clips, but it's a little bit more slack, a little bit different layout there, and we'll get it all put back together then. Okay, same test as before. We got it set up. You can see we've got 0.6 ohms I got it soldered in place. Give her some wiggles there. She ain't changing a bit. Everything's good. I'm gonna get this guy tucked right here, but you can see there's much less of a bend there, a lot more clearance. The pins are still on the backside of the caliper, so the wire is going to be in the correct place on the backside of the caliper. Pins are still in the control arm here, so it's all going to be nice and tight there. Everything's going to be fine. No more flopping around, and the wires are fixed. So let's get in the car here and make sure everything clears out and the parking brake works. Alright guys, we got back in here. Got everything reconnected and back in place. You can see the ABS there at the top is now passing. There's no more code set in there. So now we're going to test the functionality of the parking brake. Alright, this part's going to be kind of tricky because I have to hold the brake pedal and the parking brake switch at the same exact time. So let me try to set the camera up here. Okay, I just hit it there. We got parking brake on. Let me go ahead and release it. Hit the button, parking brake off. So everything is working with the parking brake. It is setting, and all the functions are working again on that. So we are good to go with that repair. On to the next one.